Dontaesboxingnation, what's going on, guys? Well, the press conference for Manny Pacquiao versus Chris Algieri has already kicked off, and it is in full effect right now. And right away, Manny Pacquiao and trainer Freddie Roach, they already have conflicting accounts of how they think this fight will play out, what they think about Chris Algieri as an opponent. But I'll talk about what Freddie Roach said in another video. Let's go ahead and start with Manny Pacquiao's comments. You know, for the first time in a long time, I can honestly say that I agree with Manny Pacquiao. I agree with at least the majority of what he said at this press conference. Here's what Manny Pacquiao had to say about his opponent. Quote, Chris Algieri fought an exceptional fight in June to win the world title from Ruslan Provodnikov. I am impressed and intrigued by his scientific approach to training and boxing. He may be the smartest and the fittest athlete I have ever faced, and that makes him the most dangerous, Pacquiao stated. End quote. Now let me say this, guys. Once again, I've been telling you for the longest, I think this is a very difficult fight for Manny Pacquiao. I even made a video, and I titled the video, Chris Algieri may do better than Tim Bradley did against Manny Pacquiao. I want to revise that title slightly and say Chris Algieri may do better than Tim Bradley and Juan Marquez against Manny Pacquiao. I truly believe it. I mean, if you guys look at this picture, the first thing you notice is the height advantage. That's the first thing you notice, right? Once again, Manny Pacquiao, the last time Manny Pacquiao was in a ring with a guy this tall, it was Antonio Margarito. But you can't really count Antonio Margarito because Margarito, he fights like a short fighter. Margarito is damn near 6 foot tall, but he fights like he's 5'5". He's an inside fighter. Chris Algieri, once again, he fights like a tall fighter. Okay? He fights like a tall fighter, and we all know, or at least I know, Chris Algieri, he has a great jab. If you go back and you watch the Provodnikov fight, then you'll know that as well. You can go back and you can watch the fight against, what's his damn name, the one that's about to fight against Broner. Taylor, right? You go back and you watch the Emmanuel Taylor fight, and you'll notice Chris Algieri has a great jab in that fight as well. Okay? Once again, man, Manny Pacquiao is correct. This is going to be a very difficult task because Chris Algieri is a thinker. He is smart. To me, I know this sounds crazy, but you can almost say Chris is a little bit like a poor man's Andre Ward. He knows how to go on the inside, smother you, get off combinations. He's a good boxer. You know, he has a good defense, knows how to use great foot movement. This is a problem for Manny Pacquiao. This is a problem for Manny Pacquiao. And I know, once again, some of you Manny Pacquiao fans, you're going to say, well, see, Dante, well, all the stuff that you're saying, doesn't this prove that Manny Pacquiao is not cherry picking and he's really fighting against a tough fight? No, that's not what it means. And that's not what it proves. Listen, man, let's not kid ourselves. We all know that Manny Pacquiao could have faced Amir Khan, Robert the Ghost Guerrero, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter. He could have faced any one of those welterweights, not including Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia is a junior welterweight, but Danny Garcia beat Lucas Matisse, and he's undefeated, and he's known much more than Chris Algieri. Okay? If you were going to fight somebody at 140, it should have been Danny Garcia. But the point that I'm making is if you compare Chris Algieri to Robert Guerrero, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, and all the other fighters that I mentioned, we know that it's perceived Chris Algieri was the safest opponent. He was the safest opponent for Team Pacquiao. And the fact that this was Pacquiao's safest opponent to pick from the long list of fighters he could have chose, that doesn't say a whole lot about Manny Pacquiao if he goes in there and he struggles or loses to this guy, Chris Algieri, right? I mean, you would think when you pick the safest opponent, you were supposed to annihilate the guy. It's no different than Danny Garcia choosing Rod Soka. That's what you do to a guy you chose. You cherry-picked, if that's what you want to call. That's what you're supposed to do to that type of fighter. You were supposed to annihilate him. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not trying to say Rod Soka and Chris Algieri are on the same level, because they're nowhere near, they're not on the same level. Okay? Nowhere near the same. All I'm saying is Danny Garcia was trying to pick the safest opponent. Manny Pacquiao was trying to pick the safest opponent. And it may very well backfire on Manny Pacquiao. I expect this to be a hard fight for Manny Pacquiao. I expect this to be a difficult fight for Manny Pacquiao. I think Manny Pacquiao has it right. Chris Algieri is very smart, and he has that height advantage to go with it. Once again, Manny Pacquiao, he's going to have to sell out to really, really win this fight. He's going to have to sell out. He's going to have to put himself at risk. He's going to have to put himself in a position to be caught with multiple counterpunches so that he can land his own punches. And we know whenever Manny Pacquiao faced Juan Marquez, he was never comfortable with doing that. Juan Marquez, the master counterpuncher, Manny Pacquiao was not comfortable with going in on him. It was a safe chess match, is what all the first three fights were, right? Soon as Manny Pacquiao said, you know what, damn this. I'm just going to go in. I'm going to be more aggressive. Everybody keeps criticizing me, saying I'm not aggressive enough. I'm going in for the kill. And what happened? Manny Pacquiao got knocked out. Nobody expected Marquez to knock out Manny Pacquiao. No one was raving about Marquez's power in that fight, right? Regardless if Marquez is dirty, if he's juicing or not, regardless, Manny Pacquiao ran into a perfect counter shot. Okay? He ran into a perfect counter shot, being too reckless. And that was against a short opponent. Imagine Manny Pacquiao being desperate, trying to reach in, and his opponent pulling back and catching him with a right-hand counter. Coincidentally, that's exactly what just happened to Austin Trout this past weekend. If you guys seen him on ESPN fighting against Dawson, which was a terrific fight. It was a great fight. Austin Trout surprisingly got knocked down twice. The first time he got knocked down, he was trying to reach. He was trying to reach from a distance, and Dawson, all he did was pull back slightly and caught Austin Trout with a perfect right hand. Chris Algieri could do the same thing with Manny Pacquiao all night. Freddie Roach, now, you know, like I said, once again, I'll save what Freddie Roach said. But let's just put it this way. Manny Pacquiao is going to have to sell out. He's going to have to get on the inside. Even if Manny Pacquiao cuts the distance, Manny Pacquiao is not an inside fighter. He's not. Manny Pacquiao is a long-range 1-2 puncher. That's what he is. He's a long-range 1-2 puncher. The only time you will really see Manny Pacquiao go in on the inside is if a fighter shells up. If a fighter just shells up with it, with doing nothing but blocking, or his back is against the ropes, yeah, then you'll see some inside work. But center of the ring, you're not going to see it with Pacquiao. Pacquiao is not going to Angulo his way on the inside. He's not going to do it. He's not that type of fighter. It takes a special fighter to even be able to do that. Not saying Angulo is a world beater. When I say special, I mean a type of fighter who's used to taking 3-4 punches just so he can get to where he wants to get and land his own punches. Most fighters, they can't do that. That's why we didn't see it when Canelo was fighting against Lara. Lara wasn't willing to put his head in the meat grinder so that he can land his own punches. Angulo is that type of fighter. Manny Pacquiao is not that type of fighter. Okay? So, once again, man, I'm leaning towards Chris Algieri to pull off this upset. You know, it's pretty funny because, of course, I could be wrong. But when Chris Algieri was fighting against Provodnikov, I'll be honest with you guys, I thought Provodnikov was going to destroy Chris Algieri. I truly believed it. I thought it because I was watching Chris spar. Okay? I was watching Chris spar. I was watching him spar with 18, 19-year-old kids. I was watching him spar with some fighters that weren't really that good. And to me, when I watched it from my perspective, Chris did not look that impressive. So watching him spar, I was like, oh man, I really like this kid, but Provodnikov is about to destroy this kid. Right? But once again, like I explained to you guys, I know this because I've been, growing around boxing. I box myself, and I've been around boxing all my life. And I know that it could be, deceiving when you sometimes see somebody sparring and they could look terrible in sparring and look great in a fight. Or it could be vice versa. And that was the case with Chris Algieri. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going with Chris Algieri over Manny Pacquiao, because I seen what he did in front of the big lights against Emmanuel Taylor, against Ruslan Provodnikov. Chris Algieri's trainer, I just talked to him on the phone the other day, Tim Lane, and he told me, this is yet to be seen, but he told me that Pacquiao is going to be easier than Provodnikov was. He said, trust me, Dante, he's going to be easier. He said, a lot of people don't know this about Chris, but Chris does better against southpaws. This is what his trainer told me. Okay? So once again, we'll see. And by the way, I am going to have Chris on my show in October when he comes back out here. So if any of you guys have any questions for Chris, just send them to me and I'll ask Chris and his trainer the questions. Okay, now one more thing I want to touch on before I end this video. Once again, I think people should go back and watch the Nadal Hussein fight. Nadal Hussein is a fighter that Manny Pacquiao fought a while ago. The guy, similar to Chris Algieri, the guy was a lot taller than Pacquiao, or at least taller. Let's just put it that way. And he happened to knock down and hurt Pacquiao pretty bad with a jab. Okay, with a jab. Pacquiao ran right into a jab. We know that Pacquiao is reckless. We know that Pacquiao, he's willing to leave himself wide open when he tries to come in and attack. Especially when you make him miss a punch. He's always open for the counter, Manny Pacquiao is. Okay? So, matter of fact, I'm going to go back and watch that fight again myself because I haven't seen that fight in a long time. Right? But, yeah, man, I truly believe that Chris Algieri, he is going to give Pacquiao all the problems in the world. And for all the boxing fans saying, come on, Dante, you know damn well Pacquiao is going to destroy this Algieri. He has no chance in hell, etc., etc. This is all I got to say. Once again, when is the last time we've seen Manny Pacquiao fighting a guy this height with boxing ability, knows how to counter, has a great jab, has a good defense? When have we ever seen Manny Pacquiao dominate that type of opponent? We have never seen it done. All of the boxers that Manny Pacquiao faced, he struggled against them. I'm on to the next one.